What's that? I just moved it over. It was in that. Yes. Well, everybody does have a mic, but they were one over, and I tried to use it once when it was over there, and they gave me like a stink eye, so I couldn't. No, it's not a problem. Should be the worst thing I could do. No. Are we ready? Right. Right.
Good evening. This is the Village Council regular public meeting. The date is February 14th, 2024. The time is 7:30. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Perrin.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Whites.
Here.
Councilmember Winograd.
Here.
Mayor Vagianos.
Here. Will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to go right to the approval of minutes. I move that the Village Council minutes of January 10th, 2024, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
I second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. And we have a few proclamations. We're going to begin with one for Read Across America.
Thanks so much. Whereas the National Education Association's Read Across America Day will be conducted on March 2nd, 2024, as a national celebration of reading and the birthday of Theodore Seuss Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss. And whereas Read Across America NJ will be observed statewide by the New Jersey Education Association in partnership with the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, the New Jersey Library Association, and their local affiliation across the state to promote reading and adult involvement in the education of our community students. And whereas the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood stand firmly committed to promoting reading as a catalyst for our students' future academic success, their preparation for America's jobs of the future, and their ability to compete in a global economy. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education of our youth, grounded in the principle that educational investment is the key to communities' well-being and long-term quality of life. Now, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood calls on the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood to ensure that every child is in a safe place reading together with a caring adult on March 2nd, 2024. And be it further resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood enthusiastically endorses the NEA's Read Across America Day and recommits the Village of Ridgewood to engage in programs and activities to make America's children the best readers in the world.
And now we have a proclamation for Super Science Saturday. Siobhan?
Sure. Whereas Saturday, March 2nd, 2024 is the 37th annual Super Science Saturday, which is a community-wide family fair dedicated to the idea that science is both fun and exciting. Whereas this event is billed as, quote, the greatest science extravaganza in northern New Jersey, end quote. And whereas more than 1,000 science lovers from Ridgewood and the surrounding communities will flock to Ridgewood High School to see a host of science exhibits, workshops, and demonstrations. And Whereas students from all of Ridgewood schools will be participating in the Hall of Science, and whereas Super Science Saturday appeals to everyone from the casual observer to the aspiring scientists, sparking an interest in students, adults, and organizations wishing to further explore their passion. And whereas some of the events will include an interactive show by the Liberty Science Center, indoor and outdoor drone racing, the Great Paper Airplane Contest, and the 30-foot egg drop challenge, as well as a live rocket launch. Whereas this event was started over 30 years ago by award-winning science teacher, Mr. Jim Wallace, to encourage families to share their scientific interests and talents, and is now run by a parents' committee of dedicated volunteers. Whereas this valuable service to our youth has become a hallmark of goodwill and cooperation. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim March 2nd, 2024 as Super Science Saturday in the Village of Ridgewood, and invites all science enthusiasts of all ages to come to Ridgewood High School to join in the festivities.
Thanks, Siobhan. And I just want to say that as a former alum, I elbowed everybody out to read the next proclamation. We have another former alum here, Matt Rogers, who is a former chairman, by the way, and he's not even ashamed of it. So, nope. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood treasures its children, and whereas our school system supports and nurtures our children, and whereas Dad's Night has helped our schools by raising hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 80 years, and whereas Dad's Night is dedicated to providing this service to the village's children, and whereas this year's event will be titled Dad's Night 80, where everybody knows your name. Now, therefore, the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim Friday, March 1st, 2024, and Saturday, March 2nd, 2024, as Dad's Night 80, where everybody knows your name at Hawes and Somerville Elementary Schools in the Village of Ridgewood, in honor of all of the dads here this evening, as well as all those who have volunteered before them. I just want to say that this is one of the great experiences in Ridgewood, and for those who have been fortunate enough to live in the Hawes and Somerville school districts, this was just such a great experience. When I was first buying a house, and my realtor, who was a former Dad's Night chairman, was looking at houses with me, and he would give me all of the advantages and disadvantages of a house. Well, this one has central air, and this one has a big backyard. This one's in Dad's Night territory. And it was something to be proud of and that we were grateful for. I know we have the current chairman, Mike Higgins and Mike Ciliento. Would you please come up and accept your proclamations? And if you'd like, please say a few words on all of the accomplishments, the money that you raised, the amount of people who are involved.
Thank you, I guess. First of all, I'd like to say that,
If you'll just raise the mic, and you need to speak right into it. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. On behalf of Dad's Night, we're pretty excited for this year's show. It's March 1st and March 2nd. This year, a couple of the things that Dad's Night did is we're about to build the library in Hawes Elementary School. We're revamping the entire library. And in Somerville, they put in air conditioning for their school events, and they're going to put in sound. So we continue to raise money for the schools in the better of Ridgewood, and our show is March 1st and March 2nd. We're not really actors, but we pretend to be for 2 days. Got anything?
Yeah, it's definitely a wonderful organization. I'm really happy that I'm in this position. I'm grateful for it. I would say every year we raise around anywhere to 80 to 125,000 going back to the schools and the community when issues arise. We're 88th year. It's going to be a fun year because it's 2 weeks, so it's a little nerve-wracking because there's a lot that takes place, but we're looking forward to it. And thank you guys for tonight.
Mike and Mike, thank you so much for all the work that you do in keeping this tradition alive for 80 years.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And now we will go to public comment. Anyone? And no one online? And with that, I will. Would you like to say something? No, about that. No, just anything you want, public comment. Wait. I already wrote my letter, so. Okay, didn't know if you wanted to make a comment. Okay, all right.
If you wrote a letter to one of the council people and you want everybody to know.
She did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
Okay,
didn't-
all right. Seeing no one, I will close public comment, and we will move on to our manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. First, I want to report that over the last 2 Saturdays, I've had the opportunity to meet with many residents who have been impacted by flooding since the initial flood back in September and then subsequently the flood events of December and January. It has been very educational for me. It's been a learning experience to be able to stand in folks' homes who are actually impacted by the flooding, see what their families have dealt with and the challenges that they faced in the aftermath. This past Saturday, I spent some time on North Irving Street with some of the residents there. We walked their properties, we walked the PSC&G right-of-way, and we walked some of the Board of Education property and facilities. We do have a punch list of certain items that the village will be taking care of in order to try to clear some of the areas under the bridge and work with the Board of Education to clear some of their property as well. I do want to encourage anyone who has been impacted by flooding, who has not yet completed the survey on the flood portal that we announced about 2 weeks ago, to please take advantage of making those submissions. All of this information that we collect between the time that the portal was launched and March 1st is going to be transmitted to the United States Army Corps of Engineers for their data collection review. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to expedite that process. We're trying to be able to hand over as much information about how flooding affects both residents and village and Board of Education infrastructure as we can right from the get-go, so that we don't have a prolonged data collection period after we're acknowledged by the Colonel and by the Army Corps. So we're encouraging everyone to do that. The link is on the website. It's also on our social media outlets, and we encourage everyone to complete that flood survey between now and March 1st. I also want to announce that we are probably within the next 10 days going to be able to submit the application for the Shedler property to the State Historic Preservation Office down in Trenton. We've been working with our engineering department, with our parks department, with our historic preservation consultant, and with Suburban Engineering to complete this application. It is in its final stages. I want to be abundantly clear that we will be completely transparent about the submission of this application. Once it is submitted, it will be prominently displayed and available for public review on the village website. We will put out on social media that the application has been submitted, and we will place links to the website on our social media outlets. So anyone in the village or outside of the village or who has a vested interest in the future of this property will be available to be able to look at everything that has been submitted to SHPO for their consideration as we move forward. Just a few reminders in light of the most recent storm. I just want to remind everybody that garbage pickup during snow and ice events, if it is in fact snowing when you leave your home in the morning, or if it's icy, we're asking you to please place garbage cans at the end of your driveway until we have a clear path to access them on your property. We appreciate your cooperation in keeping our village employees safe. In light of yesterday's storm and the suspension of recycling collection in Area 1, we are rescheduling that collection for this Saturday, February 17th. So those people in Area 1 who would have traditionally had their recycling collected yesterday on Tuesday, that recycling pickup is rescheduled for this coming Saturday. All village offices and departments will be closed on Monday, February 19th, in observance of President's Day. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup, and the recycling center will also be closed. Please check the village calendar for garbage and recycling pickups for the next week, as it will change due to the holidays. We also encourage you to sign up for the Recycling Coach app, which will remind you about changes to garbage or recycling pickups as well as your weekly pickups. Please join the Ridgewood Parks and Recreation Department on their trip to the Philadelphia Flower Shop on Tuesday, March 5th. Tickets are $80, which includes admission and bus transportation. Folks can register online through Community Pass. If you have any questions, you can call the Recreation Office. And finally, upcoming Village Council meetings. We have a budget meeting at 5 p.m. on February 21st. We have a budget meeting on February 26th at 5 p.m. Our next work session is on February 28th at 7:30. We have a work session on March 6th, the Village Council public meeting on March 13th, and a work session on March 27th. All of the regular meetings and the work sessions begin at 7:30. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. And now we'll go to our council reports. Siobhan?
I am so excited to report that I don't have any reports because I always have a report, and the snow canceled so many of my meetings. So happy Valentine's Day to my council, who always listens to my long-winded reports. So.
Thank you, Siobhan. Evan?
I'm not sure I could top that, but I do have three very quick things to cover. So first, Historical Preservation Committee met last week. Really excited about some new businesses coming to town, and really want to thank the volunteers of HSPC. Really, really great meeting, and really proud to be part of that. I'm also really excited. The Ridgewood Arts Council sponsored the cookie decorating contest at Paris Baguette last Saturday. For those of you watching at home, you should be pleased to know, I guess also the folks here, your council works together. My wife was ill. I had to be on carpool duty, and Paul was kind enough to fill in for me. It was a tough job having to help to judge all those cookies and presumably eat some of them. But in all seriousness, I think we had at least 30 families show up. Ridgewood residents, great family fun activity, and the Ridgewood Arts Council did just a tremendous job advertising and putting it together. We actually ran out of space, which is a wonderful problem to have, and again, just really super happy for them. Finally, 4th of July committee had their kickoff meeting on Monday. A lot more coming on that. Tremendous amount of work that's got to get done over the next couple of months, and you'll probably hear me repeatedly thank the volunteers, which I will start again by doing tonight, to thank you for all the 4th of July volunteers as we start the process to make sure that the next 4th of July parade is just as good as the 100 plus we've had before then.
Thanks, Evan, and thanks for inviting me to the cookie decorating contest. It was
Hard job, Paul, but somebody
yeah,
had to
well,
do it,
somebody's
you
got
know?
to do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Lorraine?
Thank you. So last week on Thursday, there was a second meeting of safety on Clinton Avenue. It was run by the village manager, mayor was there, I was there, members of the Ridgewood Police Department and the engineering department were present, along with residents of Clinton Avenue and parents of children who walk up Clinton Avenue to go to school. I think it was a very productive meeting. There were lots of ideas thrown about, and we're waiting to hear updates on some of those ideas, but in the meanwhile, I can't even read my own handwriting. The barricades are gonna remain up, which is good. We've talked about getting signs. So the parents had said, you know, they're trying to teach their kids, you're supposed to walk up against traffic. So they walked to school on the west side of the street, so they wanted to have signs. They didn't want to have cars parked in the street, because that would impede the kids from being able to walk as close to the curb as possible. So we're working on getting signs on the west side that say no parking between 8 and 9 a.m., and then when the kids walk home from school, having signs on the east side, no parking from 2:30 to 3:45. So that's in the works. And then also, the mayor asked, there was a bit of a consensus. If certain things could not happen, would they oppose sidewalks on one side of the street, being the west side of the street? And there was a general consensus that yes, they would be okay with sidewalks if other things could not happen. So we're waiting for updates on those. So stay tuned. And we have our next CSAC meeting is tomorrow night downstairs in the garden room at 7:30 if anybody wants to attend. That's it.
Thanks, Lorraine. Pam?
Thank you. This was Jamboree weekend, and it was just a rollicking good time. I would have to say it was the best Jamboree I've ever seen, and they raised over $244,000 in scholarship funds. So that was just amazing. Let's see, the Central Business District Advisory Committee met, and we are considering a prospectus for businesses that might be considering coming to Ridgewood. The Special Improvement District Steering Committee has also been meeting every 2 weeks, considering big issues. A very overarching philosophical discussion is going on at this point. Blue Acres. I went to one of the Blue Acres meetings. This one was in Lodi, and I thought it was going to be a presentation, but it's much more customized than that. If you have had flooding in your home, it's sitting down with one of their representatives and really talking about your situation and what you're eligible for. And the application is not hard to fill out. So if you have been flooded and you need compensation for what your loss is and are considering selling your home, do speak to Blue Acres. Green Ridgewood meets tomorrow night at 7:30 downstairs in the senior lounge. And there are so many different projects going on in that group that I won't outline them all. But let's see. And then with regard to the Warner Theater closing, the theater owners were kind enough to offer the village their seats, all that theater seating. And it was Keith's idea that we should sell them and put the money towards some charitable or other 501c3 organizations. So I approached the Ridgewood Historical Society, and they are indeed selling the chairs for $50 per chair. And if you would like one, you can sign up through PayPal at Ridgewood Historical Society, all one word, or you can pay by Venmo at Ridgewood Historical Society. And if you need any more information on this, you can go to museum@ridgewoodhistoricalsociety.org. The seats are very comfortable. They are not brand new, however, but they are in good condition. If you want to buy a seat, you have to come and pick it up this Saturday, the 17th, between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock behind the Warner Theater. So the entrance is on Dayton Street. And actually, tomorrow is the last time you can pay in advance because the day after that, they're coming to pull them out of the theaters themselves. So if you want a slice of history in your home, this is one way to get it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And I just want to comment, first, Jamboree and Dad's Night. What other community raises $350,000 every year for need-based scholarships and to support the needs of their elementary schools? This is my favorite example of my favorite saying that you hear me talk about all the time, that many hands make light work. And they've been going on decade after decade after decade. It makes me proud to have been part of both of those organizations. The cookie decorating contest, it was a heavy lift, but I suffered through it. You had to see these kids making these cookies. They were having more fun than you could possibly imagine. It was just a great event. And the Clinton Avenue discussion that Lorraine brought up, I have to tell you, this is a group of people. There aren't two sides to this. There are people with different perspectives, and they all recognize each other's perspectives. And I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to work out to everyone's agreement Because at one point we asked, and Lorraine mentioned this, what about this option if it goes this way? And I said, who would object to that? And I looked around the room, and I thought maybe they didn't hear me. So I asked again, and there wasn't consensus, there was unanimity. So we're not there yet, but I have to say it was something that really, I really enjoyed being part of. And as far as the Warner Theaters seating, this was Pam's initiative. It's such a great thing, and listen,
It was Keith's idea.
it was Keith's idea that you implemented.
I only had the idea, she did all the work.
Yeah, look, he's got a lot of ideas, trust me. It's, but you, having an idea and putting it to work, that's the real work, and, all right, it was a good idea, fine.
And Deputy Mayor, I also made a note, I think we'll send out an e-notice tomorrow
Yep.
about this program, so maybe in the morning you and I can collaborate on that, and we'll get that out before
So-
the mid-afternoon.
So sign up, own a piece of history, and with that, we will move on to our resolutions.
Okay, there are no ordinances for introduction or public hearing for Ridgewood Water, so Ridgewood Water resolutions. The following resolutions, number 24-37 through 24-54, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award additional amount of sole source contract, furnace corrosion inhibitor. Award sole source contract, SCADA software support. Award emergency contract, repacking of air stripping towers, 20 water treatment facility. Title 59 approval, servicing and repair of electric source. Award contract, servicing and repair of electric source. Title 59 approval, servicing and repair of potable water wells and pumping facilities. Award contract, servicing and repair of potable water wells and pumping facilities. Title 59 approval, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services. Award contract, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services. Title 59 approval, cold water meters and accessories. Award contract, cold water meters and accessories. Title 59 approval, annual laboratory analysis services. Award contract, annual laboratory analysis services. Title 59 approval, water billing and data collection services. Award contract, water billing and data collection services. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Pricing System, maintenance of generators. Accept Ridgewood Water annual maintenance fee and establish interest rates for delinquent payments to the water utility for 2024 and set grace period for payment of water utility bills. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
And the following resolution is numbered 24-55 through 24-56, will be considered separately and read in full. Be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the specifications specifically entitled as tree maintenance services for Ridgewood Water, prepared by Ridgewood Water, 111 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey, being is hereby approved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood. This resolution is adopted pursuant to the authority of NJSA 59:4-6. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And I'm going to recuse myself from this
Okay.
matter.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
And Winograd.
Yes.
The next resolution, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the bid for the provision of tree maintenance services for Ridgewood Water, for which bids were received on November 23rd, 2022, be and is hereby awarded for year 2 of a 2-year contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Downs Tree Service, 65 Royal Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $80,000. Be it further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available contingent upon the Village Council appropriating such in the temporary budget for the year 2024, and subsequently adopting a 2024 budget to fund the full amount of the contract as it applies to 2024 services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And I'm also going to recuse myself from this matter.
Okay. Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
And Winograd.
Yes.
And we move on. I move the clerk read ordinance 3981 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3981?
A bond ordinance providing for the paving of various roads in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $2 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,900,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing.
Second.
I will move
Wait,
the
wait,
public
wait.
hearing be
Pa-
closed. Forgive me.
Thanks. Thank you. And she
Second.
seconded. Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3981 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3982 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
I'm recusing myself on this.
okay. Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3982?
An ordinance to establish regulations for inspections of certain rental dwellings for lead-based paint.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3982 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3983 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3983?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-38, deposit of money required, overtime parking prohibited.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, somebody's got to move it. I seconded it by accident.
Sorry?
Yeah. I'll move it.
Thanks.
I move that ordinance 3983 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3984 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3984?
An ordinance to amend salary ordinance 3909, fixing the salaries, wages, and other compensation for white-collar employees, and to amend salary ordinance 3908, fixing the salaries, wages, and other compensation for the blue-collar employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey, and to amend salary ordinance 3971, fixing salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3984 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3985 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3985?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145, fees of the Village Code for Graden Pool membership fees, tennis pickleball membership fees, and summer day camp fees.
The public hearing is now open.
Good evening, Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I'd like to thank you for keeping the fees at Graden the same, and although this is not part of the ordinance, I would like to thank the village manager for continuing the tradition of supporting Camp YDP and the Citizens for Swimming program in Patterson, that we provide a discount of $10 a day per child for that program, and then it's subsidized by donors, individual donors and churches and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3985 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3986 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3986?
An ordinance to establish a new chapter of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Anti-Nepotism Policy.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move,
Whoops, excuse me, sorry.
I move that ordinance 3986 be adopted on the second reading and the final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
I pushed for this, and I'm glad to see it on the agenda, and I hope it passes. This gives clarity to anybody who wants to run for a village council or serve as the village manager. I think it's a very important measure, and I vote yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Agree very much with Pam. This is, I'm very happy that we have some transparency on this, and I proudly vote yes on this one.
Winograd,
Very happy to vote yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3987 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second?
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3987?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of the Village at Section 62 entitled Alternative Hiring Civilian Titles to establish a new Section C entitled Entry-Level Police Department Hiring.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3987 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3988 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second?
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3988?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 3 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Administration of Government at Section 3-43, Police Department.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
I move that ordinance 30...
Just a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3988 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3989 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3989?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic at Section 265-69, Time Limit Parking.
The public hearing is now open.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Can somebody please explain what the genesis of this ordinance is? It's my understanding that you do not wish to permit anybody to park all day on Cottage Place, is that correct? Between Franklin and 500 feet north of Franklin.
That's my intention.
We did get an email from the police. Keith, do you want to respond to it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't avoid them
Okay.
emailing
We
me on
did-
this.
We
and I know-
did look into it, and we did get an
I'm
official
pulling
report
up
from
the
the
email, if you
police.
just give me a moment. My laptop.
I'm concerned about unintended consequences in adopting this ordinance. I communicated with Councilman Whites about this. Again, my concern is unintended consequences, and I'll explain after the manager tells me why this is.
So this recommendation to adopt this ordinance came directly from the Ridgewood Police Department. Councilman Whites had asked multiple times for some clarity on this, and this is an email that was written by Officer Torino, who was involved in the process of moving this ordinance along. Approximately 6 months or so ago, the signs on Cottage Place needed to be replaced due to fading. The sign said 4-hour parking, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Prior to the replacing of the signs, it was confirmed that the signs themselves were wrong. There was no ordinance to back them up. So Ridgewood Signal Division made the signs to match the ordinance for Cottage, which is what is currently signed as of this date, which make absolutely, which do not support any of the current laws in place because there was zero enforcement possible due to the existing wording. The 3-hour limit from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That verbiage is unenforceable as there is no time that a vehicle will be over the 3-hour limit. So all-day parking on Cottage. So what the recommendation was to fix the ordinance to make it enforceable. There was already a limit in place, the original 4-hour signs that were being enforced improperly. We were trying to fix an error. What we have seen since then is that we have had to stop enforcing a time limit as employees and commuters parking on Cottage all day since there is no enforceable limit. This ordinance will rectify that. Should we allow commuters and employees to park on the street all day in front of a church and a store that could use more parking? This has become a challenge. North Walnut is regulated. There won't be any unintended consequences from the position of the police department. Every street within the CBD is regulated for this reason. Cottage was thought to be regulated also, but again, we need this ordinance to support that. And that comes from Officer Torino, who worked with the chief to establish this ordinance.
Okay, I understand that the previous signs didn't make any sense, and that there was no ordinance that you could enforce all-day parking, the prohibition of all-day parking. I understand that. But my concern is that I don't understand what is wrong with parking all day in an area that isn't residential. There is a supermarket there that has a large parking lot, and both of the churches there have parking lots. What is wrong with somebody parking in a non-residential area all day? It's almost like you're trying to force people to have to pay for parking in one of the lots. What's going to happen here is if people can't park there, I know some people who park there now, some of the letter carriers in the post office, this is going to force them to park on North Walnut, north of Linwood Avenue in a residential zone if they don't want to pay for parking. So my concern is that you're going to push this situation into a residential area. Right now, it's in a commercial area. It's really not bothering anybody. The Stop and Shop has adequate parking. The churches have parking. You're going to take this problem that's in a commercial area where it's bothering nobody and push it into a residential area. If you've ever driven on North Walnut Street, north of Linwood Avenue, you'll see that there are many cars parked there all day long, and those are, for the most part, people who work in the post office and other areas that they park early, stay there all day. When they get off their shift, they move their cars. Typically, what I've heard come before the council is residents who are complaining about parking all day in front of their homes. So now you're going to have a situation where you may have some of the residents in that area who are coming in and saying, hey, we've noticed an increased number of cars parking in the area, and that is because they can no longer park on Cottage Place. So again, my question is, What is the issue with parking in a commercial area, a supermarket, 2 churches? There are no residences in that area. Franklin, 500 feet north of, Cottage Place, 500 feet north of Franklin. I don't understand what the situation is. Why?
And I'm happy to answer that one, Boyd.
Okay.
I'm going to say 10, 15 years ago, we had our lots open to all-day parking. And what happened was commuters from all the surrounding towns came to Ridgewood and parked there all day. And the harm was to the stores, because those, the point of having a time limitation is to have turnover for each parking space. When a commuter comes in at, whatever, 7:30 in the morning and stays there till 6 o'clock at night, that space, or maybe that whole lot, is locked up all day. And so there's no place for shoppers and diners to go. And that's the purpose of the commercial lots in the Central Business District, is to service the stores in the surrounding area. So that's the problem with having an all-day parking of anyone, is it hurts the Central Business District.
But this isn't a lot. This is a street.
Right, and this new ordinance is consistent with all the other ordinances downtown in the commercial areas. You don't get to park there all day long, because then the employees will just park there, and there won't be room for the shoppers and diners.
And visitors to share.
Yeah.
Share is also there. I mean, this is consistent with other things, and I mean, there is coming and goings there all around for Board of Ed, and it's consistent with everywhere around town that doesn't allow somebody to just stay in place all day. I also want to say that we did just recently defeat a proposal on North Walnut that I don't have in front of me, but the residents expressly did not want to put the cap there, and so we sent those letters out, and I remember this man came, and I remember I was the one who defeated it, because we got so much feedback that the people on North Walnut did not want us to restrict that, because they like parking in front of their house, and they wanted the limitation.
Okay, again, my concern is that the people who are parking all day there now on Cottage are going to move someplace else. They're not going to move to a lot. They're not going to, they're not going to pay in a lot. They're not going to move to the garage. They're going to find another spot to park. And I think what you're going to see is they're going to wind up on North Walnut Street, north of Linwood Avenue, and, maybe you'll have some of the residents here complaining about that. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyd. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Where are we?
Pam?
May I have a second?
You?
Yeah, is it me? I've lost our place. Me? I second the motion.
Okay. Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3889 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
May I have a
I
second?
second the motion.
Okay. Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
White,
Boyd, I thank you for your input. I do also vote yes on this stuff.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3990 by title on second reading, and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second?
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3990?
A bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of a rear load packer garbage truck in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $437,750 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $415,750 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3990 be adopted on the second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
While I agree that we need this Packer truck desperately, I disagree with where the money is coming from. We already have money appropriated that we could use for this, so I'm going to vote no on this.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 24-57 through 24-72, will be adopted by consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, annual maintenance for software for finance department. Award contract, restoration and remediation of Maple Park Field. Award contract, restoration and remediation of Veterans Field. Title 59 approval, landfill disposal of solid waste. Award contract, landfill disposal of solid waste. Award contract under Somerset County Cooperative Pricing System, Solar Tech Message Board Trailer. Award contract under New Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System, Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, siphon and pump station cleaning services for water pollution control facility. Award contract under New Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System, Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, replacement pump for water pollution control facility. Authorized partnership with Green Ridgewood and Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs, develop plans and propose strategies for sustainability projects. Establish interest rate for delinquent taxes and non-payment of assessments and other municipal liens for 2024, and set grace period and due date. Establish interest rates for delinquent payments for significant sewer discharger bills for 2024. Authorize cancellation of tax overpayments and delinquent amounts. Authorize tax collector to charge for mailing of tax sale notices. Authorize mailing of estimated 2024 third quarter tax bills. Authorize electronic tax sales and declare property surplus of IT equipment. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
And the final resolution, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that Matthew Lindenberg is hereby appointed to the Open Space Recreation Farmland and Historic Preservation Committee as a resident member to a term which expires on December 31st, 2025, and be it further resolved that this appointment is effective immediately. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes. And that's the end of our agenda, so we're going to go to comments from the public. Seeing no one, I will close public comment. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Thank you.